Bros, I figured it out. And any lasses watching this video, I'm sorry, but I have to expose your dirty little secrets. Gen Z women are crazy because of this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, let me use a graph I saw this morning while I was at work to help answer that question. Yeah, I'm putting my data analysis skills to use in this vid just like I did in the last one. And to caveat, I'm a total bro going into this, but hopefully we could analyze women together, brother. Because doing it via gooning hasn't worked too well for us Gen Z men. So look at this graph. So if you look at it, there's a small little chart at the top, and then there's a much bigger, much more detailed chart at the bottom. And the small one represents us dudes, like us absolute bros. And as you can see, we're pretty regulated and predictable whenever it comes to our hormone levels. Like, we may put a hole in some drywall every now and then, but our hormone levels are about as predictable as the morning tide. But whenever you look at the female hormone levels represented by the graph at the bottom, it's not so much a tide as the tsunami that brutally unalived thousands of people in Japan. It's pretty funny because I know this isn't some new thing, like breaking news, women are different and hormonal. Like, everyone knows that, let's be real. But in this video, I want to talk about why this is a major factor explaining why Gen Z women are so crazy now. Before I do that, subscribe and like the video if you like the video. Plow ahead. So essentially my claim boils down to this. This drastic and cyclical hormonal variation has always been around, yes, but now that women are in the workplace, and more specifically, now that they're in the workplace in a very structured 9-to-5 environment with a whole lot of order, but also a whole lot of external pressures that they have to navigate in order to ascend, baked on top of that order, it's becoming increasingly apparent that there's some natural mismatch brewing here. Like, it's not only brewing, but the tea kettle is absolutely hollering, brother. I want to talk about how that mismatch in the cyclical grind of the modern workplace and just modern life in general, and the volatile nature of, well, women as a whole, but more specifically their hormones, it's precisely the reason why they're going so insane nowadays. Like, all you have to do is look at how that one mentally ill lady unalived her kids and just admitted to doing such, and how since then there's been countless TikToks with millions of likes claiming that the husband was the actual perpetrator, and women have raised nearly $1 million for her. Like, dude, probably more by the time I posted this video. That's just a random current example, but clearly there's something not right here, to say the least. And I know, before I dive deeper into this video, I will say that yes, I am a bro. Like, I know a thing or two about women, like, you know, I know how to find a little man on the boat. But let's just say I'm learning about women's hormonal cycle as a complete chud bro who's basically starting from square one. So keep that in mind as I go through this video. So I think I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, though, whenever I'm talking about women in the workplace and all that stuff. And to me, it's going to be the obvious rebuttal that a woman would make if she were to watch this video, and that's the very real fact that the tides haven't fully shifted yet socioeconomically, yeah, but women are absolutely killing it in the workplace and in universities. Like, I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge now that more women attend and graduate than men now. So let me break that down piece by piece to support my claim. And also, women, if you're watching this, listen closely. I like light mayo, no pickles, and Black Forest ham on my sandwich. No, I'm just trolling. I know jokes like that are low IQ, but I just had to throw that one in there. It's funny because on one of my shorts that I posted the other day, some white knight commented basically disavowing my sexist jokes, which were obviously not serious. Like, no one loves the lovely lasses more than good old Goshh. So that dude, I'll just say, she's not gonna let you crack, brother. Make yourself useful and donate your testes to some women's charity so they can put it in a pepper grinder for their Caesar salad. Okay, plow ahead. I want to get to the actual chart and detail what happens to women mentally phase by phase later, but first let me make a few points, my sweet, sweet audience. So whenever it comes to college and the educational system as a whole, I think women actually thrive in that environment, and they thrive because it's different from corporate America or hustling for your dollar via a personal business. And it's different because even though school is structured like work or a personal business, school is still a pretty insulated environment. Like, school is a bubble. It doesn't have that wild, wild west vibe of corporate America where you need to adapt to various company cultures that are all over the map, basically. But universities being a bubble doesn't just affect women, it also affects men as well. Like, you'll have a fat slob at college, but he'll pull and do pretty well whenever it comes to attracting young women, just due to his parents being rich and putting him in a good frat, or like buying him a Jeep Wrangler or something like that. And he'll get a decently attractive blonde Stacy and she'll actually genuinely like him. But once they all graduate and move to a big city with the real male rock stars, like the finance bros, your engineer types, and even the tech lords who just want a goth baddie, I won't say that the dude who's a 22-year-old former frat member is completely screwed once he jumps into the ocean. That's real life. But what I will say is that his value is basically reset, and he'll have to adapt or become one of those sad old chuds constantly reminiscing about the good old days. Brother, I remember whenever I was at Pike and I had 3 baddies per night whenever I was hitting the shotgun. I could have made it to the league if I didn't sprain my fibula. Anyways, that's why school isn't as bad as an adjustment for modern women. Are you following? So here's the real point of this video, bros, and it's work, but it kind of goes past that. Like, in this day and age, not only do you have to have a good job and hustle that now, but that's still not enough, because unless you have a stable job paying you really well, like really good money, and good money, like, that varies depending on the city in which you live in. Like, if you live in a major city, even 100K a year isn't amazing unless you live a very measured lifestyle. And even if you make more than that, you still have to worry about your employers flirting with replacing you with AI, but having just a good job is still going to leave you mediocre in the modern economy, is what I'm saying. And I do think men are more well adjusted for that. And it's because I think men have a higher risk tolerance in general. That's why if you look at the proverbial and actual quote-unquote bell curve of how all humans are doing in life based off of success and happiness, women make up the majority in the middle of the curve. Like, they're doing all right, some pretty good, some maybe not so great, but they all tend to occupy the middle ground. But just think about real life and personal anecdotes whenever I say this next part. Because whenever you go back to that bell curve and think about where men lie, yeah, some are in the middle as well with the women, but I do think that men occupy the vast majority of both ends of the extremes. Like, yeah, whenever you see those finance rock stars on Wall Street, or these tech billionaires in Silicon Valley, or if you see the dudes who like jump off of mountains in the rivers, or they race F1, or they're professional athletes, you'd think, you know, men are still doing pretty well, or at least living some extremely interesting lives. But you also have to consider the other end of the extreme of the bell curve. Like, look at prisons that are a vast majority men, or look at homeless people, mostly men. Look at people who self-delete, mostly men. I just say that to say men have adapted to have a higher risk tolerance, and they're going to end up really good or really bad. But they have a higher risk tolerance, one that I think is rewarded in this current life. This current life is evolving into something that's pretty much high risk, high reward. You just gotta literally go for it, or you're gonna end up mediocre. Because if you just do the regular thing, like the thing that your parents do, it's just not enough. Like, it's not enough to just be mediocre anymore and still have a great life. Like, that's not cutting it in this current economy. You need to do more. And having said that, many women are now playing this game that's kind of traditionally male. And let me be the one to say really quick before anyone calls me a sexist, I think it is good that women have had leaps in agency, actually. And whenever you think about all the best countries on the globe, pretty much all of them have women's rights. Like, if all the countries that have women's rights went to war with all the countries that don't have women's rights, let's just say that we'd nuke the sexist countries flat, and then we'd build a giant Target in Sephora for women to go dilly-dally in. And you know, I think something really interesting about those 2 points that I just made, and just so you're with me here, the points are women tend to do well in school, and they're toughing it out in the job market because it's making them crazy. I think those 2 points combine to make this one. This is precisely why so many women feel the urge to go back to school. They want to get that master's degree, a second master's, a third. They want to get a PhD even. And that's because they thrive in that very structured, yes, but also insular environment. One where they thrive because the work is very difficult, but at least they know what to expect. So yeah, let's cap my spiel with a brief bro analysis of the menstrual cycle hormone graph I showed earlier. Here goes. So first off, you have the period, and I don't know about you, but a period ain't stopping nothing but a sentence for me. No, I'm just trolling, but for women, it's stopping a lot actually. I mean, a period has to be annoying, brother. Like, imagine being a girl boss in a big meeting and you just have the absolute copper brewing down there. Brutal. Now, I know this is characterized as a time when women get more emotional, and I do think that that is true, but I also think that in a weird way, women do tend to just put their head down and lock in here whenever it comes to them being girl bosses, and they also have to face their biological reality as well, and I think those 2 points are somehow related. I don't know, I'll have to think about it more later. Secondly, you have your follicular phase, and that kind of sounds like clavicular? Coincidence? I don't think so. No, I'm just trolling, but actually not, because during that phase, women start estrogen maxing, and they even eventually start ovulation maxing, which leads to a whole lot of good maxing. Yeah, for my bros out there who aren't privy yet, ovulation is whenever women start getting all hot and bothered. So use that info how you will. Like, if you match with a girl on Hinge, you know, the old method used to be to ask her star sign and play into that whole hippy dippy spiritual woo woo world, but that method has since been patched. Like, women ain't falling for that anymore, chief. But if you ask your girl you just match with on Hinge what menstrual phase they're in, and then she responds saying she's ovulating, if you gym max and if you're oozing testosterone for a woman who happens to not be on birth control, you better smooth criminal your way in there, brother. Consensually, of course. Respect women. But planning ahead to the final stage I want to talk about, that stage being the luteal phase. And I've done some intense bro research on this, and it's still a little bit mystified to me, but from what I'm seeing, chat, we're cooked. Like, women are describing this as worse than their actual period. Like, apparently sleep changes, hunger changes. So yeah, if your girl makes it seem like you can't do anything right, it's not you, brother. She's just in her luteal phase. I love educating the masses in bro science. You know, your boy Goshh may not be there whenever you need him, but I'm always on time. I say that to say that I have to do family stuff tomorrow, so no video, guys. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Do it for the fam. But all glory to God. Anyways, bros, that's all I have to say on this topic. If you made it this far, subscribe and like the video if you like the video. And don't forget, take care, say your prayers, and I'll see y'all later. So yeah.